Our lead this evening is from Bangalore. It's India's tech capital, a city with a GDP of $110 billion. A city that houses some of the best tech innovators in this country. A city that simply cannot fix its infra problems. Imagine the irony, ladies and gentlemen. In India's tech city, a 22-year-old techie drowned because an underpass in the city got flooded. A city that designs solutions for the world cannot design decent underpasses for itself. An underpass gets flooded and there is no barrier or board that will warn citizens that danger lies ahead. Bhanu Rekha's family saw her drown. They were visiting her from Andhra Pradesh. She had hired a car to take them around. She wanted to show them the city she was hoping to build her life in. It's a city that killed her. This should not happen to any family. This should happen to no decent tax-paying citizen in this country. Ladies and gentlemen, KR Circle, where it happened, is exactly a kilometer away from the Vidhan Saudha, the power center of Karnataka. It's happened in a city whose municipality is the third richest in India. A municipality with the poorest track record when it comes to civic infrastructure. And it's a municipality that is in a regular habit of passing the buck. As you see those pictures of the car that Bhanu Rekha was in and that underpass that got flooded, let me tell you that the BBMC is passing the buck once again. What are they saying? They're saying essentially it is the citizens' responsibility as well to ensure that they don't go in danger zones. That citizens should have known that this underpass was flooded. And they should have heeded to warnings about there being a traffic jam in this area. Listen in to what the BBMP commissioner is saying.
Yesterday's incident is very unfortunate. Actually, the whole road was vacant and this underpass was getting flooded and there was some obstruction put by the police, but that was not completely obstructing it, and somehow the vehicle has found its way there, and one case has been booked against the driver for being negligent, and also the report with respect to negligence, if at all it is there on behalf of the hospital authorities, that is also being looked into. After the postmortem report and medical report, we will find out whether there was a delay on part of medical authorities of St. Martha's. Otherwise, the quick actions are being taken at all ends. The flooding has happened because of unprecedented 50 mm rainfall happening in 45 minutes, which had led to some flash flooding here and there, but the water receded very fast and within 1 hour the things were under control.
So, but the FIR has been filed against BBMP as well, along with the driver.
Then let the investigation continue. We will find out what is happening.
Sir, and also now that...
we cannot circumvent an investigating authority from investigating. So if the police is investigating and filing an FIR against the BBMP, let them investigate.
Sir, and now that IMD has issued 5 days of rain alert in Bangalore, in other rural areas also, so what kind of precautions have you taken, sir?
So first, my request to the people are that once they get this warning, they should also restrain their movement, because what happened yesterday, a lot of movement was happening after that, and IPL matches were happening and people started moving in large numbers, and it stopped our vehicles to reach the spot also. So they should also be, when the warning is being issued, it is not only issued for the public authorities, it is also for the citizenry to be slightly more cautious and see that because of this heavy rainfall, they should protect their their belongings and their well-being.
Now, Bhanu Rekha's family has filed an FIR against the BBMP. And they filed an FIR against the BBMP for the way the BBMP, the civic body of Bangalore, is simply shrugging off responsibility, saying that citizens should be aware of where there is traffic, and if there is an advisory, they should be following it. Even the former Chief Minister, Basavaraj Bommai, who just, by the way, was the Chief Minister of Karnataka till 7 days ago, is blaming the BBMP for this death. The very same BBMP that has been working under him for the last 3 to 4 years.
ಅಂಡರ್ಪಾಸ್ಗಳು ಸುಮಾರು 18 ಅಂಡರ್ಪಾಸ್ಗಳು ಇಲ್ಲೂ ಇದೆ. ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಕೂಡ ಹುಬ್ಳಿ ಧಾರವಾಡ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಕಡೆ ಈ ರೀತಿ ಅಂಡರ್ಪಾಸ್ ನಾನು ಗಮನಿಸಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಎಲ್ಲ ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲಿ ಅದು ಬಾಟಲ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಒಂದು ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ತರಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಒಂದೇ ದಿನದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದು ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋದು ನನಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. ಮುಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ರೀತಿ ಆಗದೇ ಇರೋದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಜೀವನ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬರದ್ದು ಕಾಪಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ದು ನಮ್ಮ ಕರ್ತವ್ಯ.
There are heavy rains and there will be water clogging under the underpass and all. But I don't remember any death happening. That means there is a mishandling of the whole thing, and the particular drivers have not taken precautions, and it could have been avoided, and timely action by the BBMP could have saved the life. There is some lapses that has to be really looked into and see that minimum this kind of a big loss doesn't happen. Second thing is, of course, the seasonally maintaining the whole drainage system should have been done earlier.
You've heard from the politicians. Now hear from citizens of Bangalore. My colleague Neha is on the ground speaking to some of them.
Civic apathy continues in Bengaluru as a 22-year-old lost her life as she suffocated inside a car that was submerged in water in an underpass in KR Circle in Bengaluru. The question we raised today is that it's been years now since people have been losing their lives in the rains in the IT capital of the country. But have consecutive governments done enough? Are the people today stepping out on the roads feeling safe? It's not just waterlogging in underpasses, but we're seeing trees being uprooted left, right and centre, bad maintenance of infrastructure, and on the whole, people today are terrified to step out on the roads in Bengaluru, even with just one spell of showers. I'm being joined right now by 2 residents of the city who commute on a daily basis. Let's get in their voices. Hi, thank you for speaking to us. I want to ask you today, when it rains in Bangalore, what we saw yesterday, on Monday was nothing short, beg your pardon, on Sunday, was nothing short of terrifying. How safe do you feel when you step out on the roads in Bengaluru, especially when it's raining?
Absolutely not, because firstly, you don't know which pothole you're going to be falling into. Traffic, absolutely unsafe. On the whole, absolutely unsafe. I have no words, because this has been happening over and over again, and the same things keep happening over and over again. So it's just unsafe from every possible angle. You have live wires falling, you have lampposts falling, you have trees falling. Where do we keep ourselves safe?
Right. All right. I want to ask you, year after year on Mirror Now, we cover stories of civic apathy, and what we found is that, the situation on ground largely, while it may have improved marginally, is still unsafe. We're talking about infrastructure today crumbling. We're talking about, roads being flooded, waterlogging. We've extensively covered it last year as well. I want to ask you today, do you feel that, with a change in governance now, there's one party that's come to power, that's managed, of course, it's not a coalition. Are you hopeful that some change is going to come about?
I mean, hope springs eternal in the human breast. What else can we actually, run on, or can we actually live on? We can only hope that situation gets better. We can only hope that we don't fall into the pits during rain, and the roads are better, and the infrastructure is better, and more solvable and solvable part is taken care. And all we can do is hope. And as a resident, as a citizen, I feel definitely unsafe during rain. When these kind of incidents occur, then we feel that it could be us also. There's a scare always.
How responsible do you think, a citizen is themselves for a situation like this which arose particularly in light of yesterday's event?
Now let's just take this realistic situation. I'm on the road. I need to reach home. I have to go through that pass. I have to use that road. I will do it. But yeah, if you're home and then you're moving out, then it's irresponsible. But if you're out and you're going home, you've got to reach home, right? So it's not irresponsible. I don't think it is.
Okay. And what about you? Do you feel that, you know, the civic...
are always crossing any of the underpasses, always. I mean, be it a Banaspadi underpass, be it another one that is Vidhan Sauda underpass. There are so many underpasses, and the underpasses conditions are horrible. So when you walk up to that, even if you walk on a non-rainy day, it's bad. It's really bad. So, you know, before you put a finger on the citizens and the responsibilities that we take as a citizen, I think it's more important to really cover up the roads first, then talk about it.
Of course, two articulate citizens there, clearly unhappy with the kind of administration, the infrastructure that we're paying in the form of taxes over here in the city. We'd really hope that, you know, with a new administration coming into place, that more is done as far as declogging the drains is concerned, as far as revamping the infrastructure is concerned, and hopefully the IT capital of the country, in fact, retains its glory that it once had.
You've heard from the citizens. Let's again hear from the politicians. T Sankeertha is spokesperson of the BJP, joining us on the broadcast. Samrudh Hegde is spokesperson of the Congress party, joining us on the broadcast. Brijesh Kalappa is leader of the Aam Aadmi Party, and Sandeep Anirudha is founder, Citizens Agenda for Bangalore. As we always like, Sandeep first. Sandeep, I heard the former chief minister, who till 7 days ago, just by the way, was the chief minister of Karnataka, Mr. Basavaraj Bommai, saying, I don't remember a time when something like this has happened, that, you know, an underpass gets flooded and a citizen of Bangalore drowns and dies.
That's
exactly a year ago, the same thing.
Totally irresponsible and ignorant.
The girl's
statement.
name was Akhila.
No,
the girl's name was Akhila.
That statement is irresponsible.
She was
and
23
ignorant.
years old. You remember her? I remember her.
True. See, the facts speak for themselves. Bengaluru is on the top of the list in terms of civic infrastructure related accidents and deaths in the country. We have the highest number of potholes. We have the highest number of traffic deaths. We have the highest number of, I think, everything related to civic apathy, we are at the bottom. So for a chief minister to say that is completely irresponsible and even ignorant. Now, the actual question to ask is who's responsible for this? And I'll make something very controversial. See, we catch petty thieves and, you know, charge them. We catch traffic offenders and charge them. If elected heads of state, like the state chief minister of a state, have violated the constitution and caused this kind of civic mess in this state, shouldn't they be pulled up? Shouldn't they be taken to court? And I'll tell you what I'm citing. I'm citing the 74th Amendment. It was passed in 1992. This city ought to have had a Metropolitan Planning Committee, which is the planning authority. We have not had one for the last 3 decades. How many governments have come and gone? Every single chief minister has been in violation of the constitution, has been in contempt of the constitution. I'm sure Brijesh Kalappa can tell us if that is legally viable to actually charge these chief ministers with contempt of constitution or with violation of laws, because they ought to have implemented it. We should have had a planning authority. We should have had master plans. This city has a notoriety of not having a master plan. Therefore, the city does not have a proper mobility plan which seamlessly integrates the city. We have these ad hoc projects of underpasses and flyovers, which are death traps. And they don't even solve a problem because these are only built for corruption. They are built to make money for consultants and contractors. They build it on whims and fancies. They don't have good technical specs. Our city does not have urban planners. It does not have transport planners. In what way are we an IT capital of the world? Please tell me. We don't have capacity building. We have completely incompetent officials and engineers. We don't have urban planners. And then we end up with this substandard quality of public works, which basically are risky in every way. And because we don't have a master planning exercise, we have lost about 90% of our wetlands, lakes, Rajakaluways and buffer zones. We have lost 97% of our green cover. our city has just become a concrete mess. It's become unlivable and it's full of risks. Who's responsible? As head of the state, shouldn't the chief ministers of every term, because most of this unplanned growth and runaway growth of Bangalore happened in the last 3 decades. And that was after the 74th Amendment was passed. From 92 onwards, we have been in violation.
Okay.
Every chief minister should be pulled up. And only then, if we do this, will the future chief ministers take action on these laws? Otherwise, they'll just sit around and they won't take action. And we have already crumbled. None less than the Supreme Court of India has called Bengaluru a ruined city. And it has sent official letters to every other state government saying that your city should not follow the path of Bengaluru. What bigger insult can we have? And now we're having deaths. And we have the highest number of deaths due to accidents, due to lack of civic infrastructure. We should hang our head in shame. I don't understand how any chief minister can absolve themselves of this, because all of them are complicit in this. And if you look at our ministers, most of them are involved with the land mafia. They have real estate interests. They don't allow clearing of encroachments because their own buildings are sitting on these encroachments. Right now in the cabinet, you have ministers who have large real estate companies and their IT parks and real estate developments are sitting on these encroachments, which have not been cleared by the BBMP after last year's monsoons. It is complete lawlessness. If you ask me, it is a lawlessness and lack of backbone of these ministers to implement or comply with laws, which is causing this complete deterioration of the city. I don't think we can absolve any of these politicians of this mess.
T
They
Sankeertha,
owe this
the
family
point
an
is,
explanation for why she's dead.
before I ask questions to the Congress party, I want to ask questions to you, because this is the third day of the Congress party's government in Karnataka. Today, Basavaraj Bommai, who was the former chief minister of Karnataka, says completely BBMP is to blame. Completely, absolutely, it is BBMP that is to blame. This is the very BBMP that for the last 4 years has been working under the BJP government. This is exactly the same BBMP under who last year, exactly during the same time, another citizen, another 23-year-old, a girl called Akhila had died. It rains, the streets are flooded, her auto turns turtle, she tries to save herself from drowning. She catches hold of a pole, little does she know that it is an electric pole, and she gets electrocuted. Of course, Basavaraj Bommai didn't remember this incident, so he said, I don't remember if something like this has happened before. Point is, Mr. Sankeertha, it has happened before. And the point is that no one by the end of it seems to be accountable for what happened to Akhila or to Bhanurekha.
See, deaths due to civic and infrastructure related issues are definitely a thing in vain. It is definitely heartbreaking. Whatever it is, how much ever the money or the compensation we try to offer them, the dead person will definitely not come back. Firstly, Mr. Sandeep was addressing the problem very rightly. The Congress government, which is now in power, should immediately call for a coordinating meeting of all the 28 MLAs who are won from Bengaluru to have a proper emergency ad hoc situation meeting to address all the officials. And the officials, if they are not punished properly, this will not have an end. Whichever the government may be, whether it is BJP, Congress, or some other government, but the officials, whoever the chief minister, the chief engineer, the executive engineer, the joint commissioner, and the stormwater drain department has to be totally booked cases and should be put behind the bars. Whoever is responsible for this, because see, these kind of there was a warning from IMD department saying that there would be rains for 4-5 days. Why wasn't the BBMP or the official weren't prepared? They are still in the honeymoon mood. I think they haven't come out from the election perspective. So these officials have to be booked immediately, and the chief minister should call all 28 MLAs of the Bangalore and call for an immediate emergency meeting. And secondly, when Mr. Sandeep was talking regarding the KMC Act 1972, it was I would like to quote, it was the BJP government who wanted a separate act for the BBMP, and it was amended and it was passed in the session. So this is the kind of commitment that was that's been given by the BJP in regarding to the Bengaluru. So these kind of things, when the officials are not punished
Sir.
and they taken into action, this solution will not be definitely seen a proper.
No, my point to you is this, that it's not, Mr. Sankeertha, that only Congress MLAs have won from Bangalore, from the city of Bangalore.
I am telling all the 28 MLAs.
Face saving
All the
for
28
you
MLAs.
in Karnataka. What?
I urge the Chief
Yeah.
Minister to
No,
call
no, no.
for an
What are you
emergency
telling
meeting
me?
with all the 28 MLAs of Bangalore to address this issue.
Okay. Now tell me something. How many years was the BJP in power, sir, in Karnataka?
See, in the last 3.5 years, if you see the HSR layout, if you see the Goat Shed Road, which you travel to, there was water logging there also. We have tried to bring a solution in that areas too. The water clogging has been reduced. I did not say it is totally vanished, but the water clogging has been reduced. We have tried to find solutions for this. I also, when this happens, when you bring the officials to task, when you punish the officials, you take them to responsibility, definitely there will be a solution.
No, which official
government
was
as well.
punished for Akhila's death?
See, if you
No,
see, I
which
think in your very own channel,
official was punished for
in your very
Akhila's
own
death?
channel, when a family died because of a
Mr.
BBMP pillar
Sankeertha,
crash,
which
the FIR
official?
was registered on the chief engineer, executive
Exactly.
engineer of the BBA Metro, so BMRCL. So this is the kind of
And what happened after that?
BJP promised when
What
we were in
happened
government.
after that?
See, they have
No,
been.
what happened after
the
that?
investigation is in
Sandeep,
due course.
would you want to come
They will
in?
definitely, whoever is behind it will
Yeah.
definitely be
And we
punished.
know how investigations go in this country. Anirudh, do you want to come in and respond to Mr. Sankeertha before I get in the Congress spokesperson?
Number one,
and Mr.
in
Brijesh
the
Kalappa?
BBMP's rules, there's absolutely no prescribed punishments for any officials or engineers. In fact, there was a PIL initiated by a lawyer about 4 years back, which asked the BBMP to prepare a list of punishments for officials who are in dereliction of duty. The BBMP has not acted on it. Second thing, 74th Amendment says, 1992 74th Amendment of the Constitution says that all the services of BBMP have to be unified. It has to be decentralized and devolved. Now the BBMP has not kept its promise. In fact, we did a public poll on all the poll promises BBMP made in 2018 for Bengaluru. There were 150 points. We had a public poll just before these elections. Citizens have voted and said they have not carried out all 150. It falls short. The BBMP Act, which the BJP government has passed, it's very deficient. It doesn't conform to 74th Amendment mandate. What we need is complete devolution. We need elections. The BBMP did not conduct elections to BBMP for 3 years. We don't have a local government. We don't have a local mayor. They went around finding excuses to delay the elections to help them in the state elections because they didn't want anti-incumbency. So for the sake of their own selfishness, they actually sacrifice the city. We don't have a city corporation which is devolved. We don't have elected corporators. We don't have a mayor. And they say we have lived up to it. There are 150 points they actually committed to Bengaluru. They've not fulfilled any one of them. This is the state of affairs. And now the Congress has issued a manifesto with only about 20 or 22 points. We want to see how many of those they'll fulfill. And in that, they have left out the 74th Amendment implementation. The reason Bengaluru is a mess is 74th Amendment has not been fulfilled. Now, if the Congress doesn't do it, what we are going to do is this time we won't leave them scot-free. Every 6 months, we're going to have a poll on whether Congress is fulfilling both the BJP's previous manifesto and Congress's present manifesto. And we're going to audit every single thing for every 6 months. We're going to sit on top of their heads. I think the ministers and governments don't behave if they don't have pressure. Civic society is going to be on top of them from now because otherwise they don't perform.
Firstly, I would like to offer my condolences
the fact is that the BJP
to the family of the victim, and I pray for her soul. It's a very unfortunate and tragic incident, but we have to acknowledge that the infrastructure in Bangalore has been crumbling for the last few years. Our Chief Minister Siddaramaiah ji has taken prompt action, and he has ordered an inquiry, and strict action will be taken against those who are found guilty and those officials who are involved. The jurisdictional police has also registered a case against the engineers and the driver based on a complaint made by the family of the victim. The Chief Minister has also directed the BBMP to undertake an audit of all such underpasses across the city of Bangalore and to take prompt action in this regard. As we approach the monsoon, we realize and we are aware of the mammoth task ahead of us, and we are committed to work to prevent to declog and declutter Bangalore. As Mr. Sandeep mentioned, that Bangalore doesn't have a corporation.
We'll
doesn't
see,
have
Mr.
a mayor.
Hegde. We'll see. We've heard these promises from the BJP as well for 3.5 years. We've heard these promises. Now, there is not much I can say to you since your government is exactly 2 days old in the business. But what I can say is that before 3.5 years, before the BJP government, there was a Congress government in place. The state of Karnataka has the habit of never picking an incumbent, which means if the BJP has served time in Karnataka, so have you. And this crumbling infrastructure is not just a result of the BJP's misrule, it is a result of the Congress's apathy as well. You have a new chance. We hope you'll deliver on that new chance. But Mr. Kalappa, I want you to come in here. For a moment, just think to yourself, this is India's IT city. This is a city which generates 36% of Karnataka's GDP. This is a city with a GDP of $110 billion. It is a city that offers IT solutions to the world. This is a city that cannot even design decent underpasses or ask its representatives for accountability. This, by the way, Bangalore is a city where people simply don't come out to vote. If the average for the state is 73%, how many people came out to vote in Bangalore? 56%.
I agree wholly with the statistics you have provided, Shreya, except that it may possibly be for this reason that there would be people who are moving from within the city. So therefore, probably the vote count is a little less. But nevertheless, I think it's not the time to blame the citizens for what has gone wrong, but it's time to blame the administration for what's gone wrong. But let me compliment those people who have done the right thing, and that is that both Mr. Siddaramaiah and Mr. D.K. Shivkumar have visited the spot, and they have actually gone and met the people concerned. So this was a welcome change insofar as what we have seen. I agree with Mr. Sandeep that as far as the 74th Amendment is concerned, there's still a lot to be done. But let's even do this, let's even pluck the low-hanging fruit first. We are now thinking of systemic changes. That's all right, and I agree with that wholly. It must be done. But there are plenty of low-hanging fruit. And this must be the first thing that the government must do. That, take small steps, take baby steps to ensure that the city becomes, more organized. The first thing is immediately try to hold the BBMP elections, come what may, whatever the results, because ultimately Congress will now be looking at a full majority in the BBMP. I would urge that please don't look at it. Have a BBMP, in whichever form it is. First have an election, then allow the BBMP members to go about, and actually, because ultimately what is happening is that there is one today commissioner and he's looking at 243 wards, which I think is wholly undoable. I think the first thing that one must do is ensure that those people who are to be elected have to look after their particular regions, and then from there on things will change. But unless you do that, it's not going to change. So therefore, I would urge the Congress party, which has now been elected with a massive mandate, that don't try to work up a majority and see to it that, because the BJP has more number of MLAs, that you decide that, no, we'll do some work and then have a BBMP. Ultimately, please remember that 2.5 years have gone by without a BBMP. So immediately, come what may, have a BBMP election. I think it's very important. Have a BBMP election so people on the ground can be held responsible. You can have a councillor then who is responsible for for this mishap which has now occurred. So the first thing is please put people in charge. If you don't put people in charge, then these kind of things keep happening. And ultimately, the government of Karnataka, which has to look at far-flung areas like Gulbarga and Bellary and so on and so forth, will only have to spend time in Bengaluru. And I think, according to me, it's totally wrong, and it's unfair to both the people of Gulbarga and to the people of Bengaluru. First, have a BBMP election. And the second, I think, is try to have transparency in terms of what you're doing, in terms of every single decision you're taking. I think that will go a long way in taking these baby steps to ensure that the city functions well.
Okay, this is what I'll say as we see those pictures from the underpass, and let's put those pictures back on our screens again. Sandeep, I'm out of time, but I'm just going to request, those are the pictures I want our viewers to see. That's the car that Bhanu Rekha was traveling in. Her family had come over from Andhra Pradesh because she wanted to show them the city. She didn't survive that ride. She didn't survive that ride because of criminal civic apathy. This is what happens when infrastructure in any city is built not on design, but on corruption. This is what happens. You design an underpass in a way that it doesn't get flooded. How is it that every time there is a 30-minute spell of rains in Bangalore, underpasses in the city get flooded and become death traps? As I'm saying, this is not the first time it has happened. Now, we have a 2-day-old government in Karnataka, and this one incident, tragedy, murder actually, is a reminder on what they need to do for Bangalore on priority. Gentlemen, we leave it there for the moment. I'm completely out of time. Thank you very much. One can only imagine what Bhanu Rekha's family is going through right now. Thank you very much. BBMP, the civic body of Bangalore, has been named in the FIR. For the moment, a quick break. There's much more on the other side. Do stay with us.